Hey y'all, welcome back. Today we are going to get busy. We have a family Christmas gathering. My family, my mom and dad, my mom's 3 siblings and their families, my sister and her family, and us. We are all getting together to do the big family Christmas here at our house in like 2 days, 3 days, something like that. I don't know, but I've got a bunch of stuff to make and I thought I would take you along and show you how we do our Christmas as a family, how we've always done it traditionally, and some of the things that I'm making. Everybody makes stuff and brings it. There's food to feed an army. You would not believe it. It's so much fun. We just snack and we eat. We don't have a big sit down meal with like turkey and dressing. We don't have the traditional Christmas dinner. We just have basically junk food, snacky foods we call it, chips and dip, veggie trays. Jason usually brings a nugget tray. We have candy and cakes and pies and cookies, and we just eat and we enjoy each other's company, and the little kids open presents, and it's a big time. So I am going to get busy. We always have what my family refers to as Martha Washington candy. I will leave the link, or I will put a picture of this at the end of the video. So if you want to see it, I will put it, or I'll just do this and you can screenshot it, pause it and screenshot it. And then I will put the ingredients on the bottom of the screen like I usually do. So right now I'm gonna mix up the mix for the Martha Washington candy and stick it in the fridge because it has to chill overnight. That's step 1. And then tomorrow we will come back and I will show you how to finish it off. Also today we are going to make red velvet cake. That is another Christmas staple. It is a from scratch recipe, but it also takes a little bit of time. The icing has to be done first, or part of it, because it has to get cold or chilled, which takes forever. So we're gonna get this mixed up, put it in the fridge, come back, and then we're gonna start the icing for the red velvet cake, and then we're gonna make the cake itself. So get busy, grab an apron, let's go. Okay, so the ingredients for the mix, the inside of the candy, is 2 pounds of powdered sugar, or if I just use my kitchen scale and I buy it bulk at Sam's and put it in here, so I had to measure it out on the scale. Or if you don't want to do that, you don't buy it bulk, just buy it as 1 bag. It's a 1 2-pound bag of powdered sugar. Dump it in a bowl. You're gonna need a can of Eagle brand milk. Again, I use generic. A stick of butter melted, and a bag of preferably Angel Flake coconut. I cannot find Angel Flake anywhere. This is as close as I could get. The Kroger brand. Normally, I don't care about generic. Angel Flake is one I don't skimp on that. If I had found Angel Flake, that's what I would have used. I cannot find it, unfortunately. So I hope these don't turn out too dry, but the Angel Flake is a little bit, it's not as dry. I don't know. So we'll see what happens. So let me get this butter melted and show you how to stir it up. It's so easy. Okay, so we've got the butter melted. We just melt the butter. You pour it over the powdered sugar. This is so easy. 1 stick of butter, 2 pounds powdered sugar, can of Eagle brand milk, now I did not say this was healthy. Make sure you get it all out. Don't waste good Eagle brand milk. And then your bag of coconut. And that's it. And you just mix it all together carefully, but you probably will make a mess. And then we're going to just cover it with saran wrap and let it chill overnight in the refrigerator. And then tomorrow we will roll it into balls, little small balls, and we will melt together over a double boiler a 12-ounce bag of semi-sweet chocolate chips and 1 block of paraffin wax. And once that's melted, we will take a toothpick and roll these balls in, dip them in the chocolate and wax mixture and set them on wax paper to set. And then that's it. And then you just put them in an airtight container. So if you like, it's not Almond Joy, Mounds chocolate candy bar, then you will like this candy. This has been a staple at Christmas in our family for, I really don't know how long. You probably would have to ask my mom. I know my great-grandmother made it every year. And it's going to get a little bit harder to stir and that's normal. And yes, I washed my hands. You just didn't see it because I didn't figure you wanted to sit and watch me wash my hands. Make sure you scrub under your nails too, because that's gross. Okay. You don't have to knead it like bread dough. Just get it squished together so you don't have pockets of dry powdered sugar. You want it to be like a dough. Okay. And then we're just going to cover this in powdered sugar. Cover this in saran wrap, plastic wrap, and get it in the fridge to sit overnight. Okay, now we're gonna go on to the icing for the red velvet cake. We're gonna cook this. I have a 1 cup of milk, just regular 2% milk in a saucepan. We're gonna add to it 4 tablespoons. This is not like measuring spoon, tablespoon. This is just a tablespoon. And it's not leveled off, it's like this. Not just super heaping, but not flat either. 2, 3, 4. And make sure you make a mess. It's not gonna taste good if you don't make a mess. Move that out of the way. I'm gonna turn the burner on with this. And then I have over here, I have 2 sticks of butter sitting out to get soft for later when we do the rest of the icing. I'm just gonna go ahead and whisk all this in. And what you're gonna do is you're gonna cook this over heat, like medium heat-ish, until it's thick. That's all you're doing. You're just making it thick. Kind of like if you were gonna make gravy, but you don't want it to be lumpy. So I whisk it first, get all the lumps out of the flour, make sure it's smooth, and then I transition to my spoon, and you just have to stand here, and it takes a while, and just keep stirring it so it doesn't stick, and keep going until this is thick. So I'm not gonna make you watch that. That's all you do. So I've got all the lumps out now. I'm gonna switch to the spoon, and then you just have to stand here and stir it. It's probably gonna take 7 minutes, 10 minutes, depending. And it's gonna be very tempting to crank up the heat to make it do it faster. Don't do it. Once this is thick, we're just gonna move it off to the side and let it cool all the way down completely while we make the rest of the cake and it bakes and all that kind of stuff. And then we'll come back to this and make the rest of the icing. All right, so it's thick now. Like this. Not just thickened like a gravy, thick like you can spoon it. Like that. Willow's done entertaining herself and she wants attention. Sorry about that. So now we're gonna take this off the heat and move it over to the side. And that's gonna cool while we finish the cake. Or start the cake. All right, you guys, we're gonna make the cake now. Hopefully you can see, I've tried to fool with the lighting. It's just not working out for me. It is rainy out today, that's part of it. So it's a little dim and gloomy in here, but we're gonna make the best of it. So like any good Southern recipe from scratch, we're gonna start with some good old Crisco. Again, I will show you a picture of the recipe, and I'll also put the ingredients at the bottom of the screen. You're gonna start off with a 1/2 cup of Crisco. Sugar. 1.5 cups of sugar, but I'm not gonna dirty up another measuring cup, so I'm gonna count these out. 1/4, 1/2, 3/4, 1 cup, 1/4, 1/2. And 2 eggs. You're gonna cream these together. Then you're gonna add in salt, buttermilk, and your flour. Okay, so how much salt? A teaspoon of salt. One cup of buttermilk. And it's going to be 2 1/4 cup of plain all-purpose flour. This is my uncle's favorite cake. It also happens to be my father-in-law's favorite cake. 2 1/4. Then you're going to make a paste. You're going to make a paste of cocoa, food coloring, and vanilla. And then we're going to add it to this batter. It says paste, but really it's not going to be a paste. And this is where it's going to get a little dicey. You need 2 ounces, and these are 1 ounce jars or bottles of food coloring. They are 1 ounce. You need 2 of them. Okay, so I just use a mug and move this, or it's going to get splattered. You need 1.5 tablespoons of cocoa. That. How much vanilla? 1.5 teaspoons of vanilla. And your food coloring. You know what? It doesn't come off my countertops very well, I have learned. I've also learned no matter how careful you are, it's going to splatter. It's already on my fingers. I used a red mug on purpose. Stir that all together. Okay. Yep, see? Now we're gonna carefully told you, I make a mess every time. Okay. So now the last step is baking soda and vinegar, but you do not need to beat it in with the mixer. You need to fold it in with the spatula. So we're gonna get this off here. Okay, see? Scrape the bowl really well. Bottom. Make sure it's all incorporated. Okay, now we're gonna put in a teaspoon of baking soda. And 1.5 teaspoons of vinegar. And that's it. I'm just gonna fold this in. We're gonna turn the oven on to 350, and we're gonna get it in some cake pans and bake it for about 30 minutes. Okay, you're gonna split it between 3 pans. These are my set of 3 that I bought years ago specifically to make red velvet cake with. And that's the only thing I use them for. There, you'd see how they've burnt the baker's joy over the years that I cannot scrub off on the sides. It's not a lot of batter in the pan. I mean, it's almost like just barely enough to cover the bottom. So you can just split it between 2 pans. We have done that before, and it's fine. It's just traditionally we've done it in 3. That's the way my great grandmother used to make it. So that's the way we're gonna make it. And it is all over my hands. Yeah, that's gonna be there for a couple of days. I'm gonna slide these in the oven, bake them for 30 minutes. Okay, the kids were watching a movie, and because of copyright, I had to turn the sound off. So we're just gonna do a quick voiceover. We're gonna finish the icing with 2 sticks of softened butter in the bowl of a mixer. Add to that 1 cup of sugar. And then we're going to use the whisk attachment here because this is going to have to beat really hard for a while. And then we're going to put this sugar up and grab the whisk and the vanilla. You're going to add to the sugar and the butter about a teaspoon-ish. I don't really measure of vanilla. And then we're going to stick the whisk on and we're going to beat it until it's fluffy is what the recipe says. And you're going to beat it pretty high speed and at least for 10 minutes. So while that's beating, I grab my cake taker, get it washed and dried, and grab the pecans. If you want to use pecans, grab those and get those chopped up. You need, I don't know, probably about a cup's worth or however many pecans you want to use. Once this is done, you're gonna scrape the bowl after the 10 minutes that are up. And to this, we are going to use the flour and milk mixture that we cooked on the stove until it got really, really thick, and it's just been sitting over at room temperature until it is cold. Not refrigerator cold, but definitely room temperature cold. So now that we've got the bowl scraped, we're going to add this that we cooked on the stove, and you'll see it's really thick, like glue. It's super, super thick. Get all of it out of the pan that you can into the bowl of the sugar, vanilla, and butter. And we're going to mix that together. And then once that's mixed together, the icing is done. Make sure you get all of it because it doesn't make a lot of icing. So get as much out as you can. Now this cake, we will not frost the sides of the cake. We only do the tops of the 3 layers. So mix that together really well. It doesn't take long, just a couple of minutes. Grab the cake taker. And then I just put a tiny bit of icing on the bottom of the cake taker just to keep the layers from
sliding or spreading around. You don't need a lot, just a little. And then, like I said, we're only going to frost the tops of the layers. Now, personally, I prefer this cake baked in 2 layers, like I said, because the layers are thicker, and I prefer a thicker layered cake. But you may not. We're just going to put a little bit of icing, spread it to the edges, and then if you so desire, you can sprinkle the chopped pecans on top of it. Obviously, if you're allergic, don't do that. Leave them out, or if you just don't like pecans, just leave it out. We've done it both ways, but I had plenty of pecans, and I just thought, why not? You're going to add your second layer, same thing. Put the icing, spread it around. You see, it doesn't make a lot of icing. If you wanted to frost the sides of the cake, if you just really like this icing, then I would, at the very minimum, double the recipe for the icing, if not triple it. But doing it just this much is just enough to frost the tops of the layers. And then the third layer, stick that on there. And it's a little crooked, but it's okay. Get the last of the icing out. And then we are going to just, again, take it to the edges and then sprinkle the pecans on. And that's all it takes.
All right, you guys, it is the next morning. I have finished the red velvet cake, which you saw, and I've got it in my cake taker so that it can be sealed up to where Willow can't get it. So it's just gonna sit here like this and it can't dry out. I'm gonna move it over here to the table, and then we're gonna start the Martha Washington. Okay, the Martha Washington is really easy. It just takes a while to do. I pulled it out of the refrigerator. I covered it in saran wrap like this, like not across the bowl. I put it down in it to try to keep it from drying out. So it's just gonna sit at the room temperature to kind of soften slightly, because right now it's hard as a rock. You can't roll it into balls. We're gonna roll that into balls, and then in a double boiler, which I gotta get some water. I don't have a fancy double boiler. You don't need one. We've always just used a pot with some water with a glass bowl on top of it. And then in the glass bowl, you need 1 block of paraffin wax. This is what we use. You can get it in the canning section where like the jars and lids and all that stuff are. And it comes in blocks. When I was a little girl, and this was my job to do it, they were not separated into blocks. It was one huge block, and it just had scores, and you had to get a knife and cut it, and I could never do it right. It didn't break apart, but now they've done it for you. So it's 1 block of wax and 1 12-ounce bag of semi-sweet chocolate chips. I usually use generic, but wouldn't you know, they didn't have generic. All they had was name brand. So name brand it is this year, because I wasn't going store to store looking for generic. So I couldn't find the name brand Angel Flake coconut, and I couldn't find the generic chocolate chips. Go figure. So I'm gonna show you how this goes, and it's really easy. And then you just let them set and then put them up. So let's get going. So we've got water in here. You don't want it to touch the bottom of the bowl, and it just needs to kind of simmer, not boil. And then you're gonna throw your block of wax in. And that's it for the coating. Now this needs to melt slowly and stir it occasionally. And then once it's melted, you can start dipping the balls. So while this melts, I'm gonna get a cookie sheet, line it with parchment paper, and start going ahead and making the balls, so that when this is ready, the balls are ready, and I can just dip them really quick and it will go faster. I just use like a teaspoon, like an ice teaspoon, and I just scoop a little bit out, about a teaspoon's worth. And then it's kind of like Play-Doh at this point. It's really soft. You just roll it into a ball. And you're looking for like gumball size. Like that. And you just set them on the pan. And I try to do these while this melts. Okay, so now that it's all melted and I have them all rolled out over here, I've got this whole pan covered, and then I have some over here on a paper plate as well. So this is how you do it. Typically, you're supposed to use just a plain old regular toothpick, and for whatever reason, I can't find mine. I don't know what happened to them. So I'm having to use these bamboo ones that are thick and wide, and I don't like it. They don't work very well. The little balls want to fall off into the chocolate. This is how you do it. You stick a toothpick in it, submerge it completely in the chocolate, let it drip a little bit, pull the toothpick out. That's it. And then once you get them all dipped and just let them kind of air dry and set for a few minutes, then you can pack them up into an airtight container and sit at room temperature for, you know, a week easily. You don't need to refrigerate them. So let's get to dipping. Okay, we're back. My battery went dead when I was dipping the Martha washing, so I just let it go and I kept it going. But everyone's here almost. We're waiting on like 3 or 4 more people, and then we're gonna get started. So I just wanted to show you Christmas and how we do it here with my family. So let me show you all the food. So we've got the dessert table and punches. We got coffee punch, the red punch, like I showed you with the Grinch punch. If you saw that video, I made it green. Here I've made it red, same recipe. Here's some Martha Washington bowls, my red velvet cake in here, lemon icebox pie. My mom made Rolo Ritz crackers. That's red velvet cake. This is jam cake. My aunt brought cookies. My mom made a chess pie. We have the coffee bar set up. Plenty of mugs. Cookies. They're in there playing a game. And then in here, we have ham, boiled custard, little smokies, meatballs, little smokies. They're playing a game. We have all the stuff in there. We have apple cider, my Uncle Paul's Tex-Mex, drinks, Chex Mix, turkey salad, pimento cheese. I don't know what this is. Charcuterie, chips and dip, and Jason's coming with chicken nuggets. So this is Christmas.
No timeout. No timeout. This is a game of no rules.
Okay, so that's Christmas. We're in here having fun. Kids are gonna go open presents. Everybody's finally here. I'm sure you can hear them. That's how we do Christmas. And from our family to yours, we hope you have a very Merry Christmas. Thanks for watching. Love y'all. Bye.